So, welcome to today's interview where we're about to celebrate a very special milestone. At the time of this recording, this is before, but by the time this recording goes up, that anniversary date will have come. What is that anniversary date, you ask? Well, it will soon be the 15-year anniversary of the country album "My Daddy's Dream" by Kestin Howard. Before before we jump into questions, I'm gonna let Kestin introduce himself.
Hi there, everybody. My name's Kestin Howard. I am a voice actor, singer, and songwriter. As mentioned there, my country album I released back several years ago. It just hit this big anniversary, and I am very happy to talk about it today.
Awesome. So, um, from what I understand, this is an album that drew deeply from personal experience, family ties, and emotional textures of growing up. Is that correct?
Definitely. That album, like I said, it was made back when I was just starting. I was just in the middle of college. I believe it was my sophomore year because 2010. Yeah, I would have been sophomore year in college.
Hmm.
And growing up, like that was my main thing I always wanted to do. Like I didn't think about anything else except being a country music singer, or at least um, getting an album made. I think my goal initially changed like the older I got, like just seeing where I was at. My main goal was like get an album made and put yourself out there. So I drew a lot from where I grew up in Eastern Kentucky to make a lot of the things that was on that album.
Well, that actually sounds amazing. So throughout this interview, sit we're going to sit down, walk through memory lane and reflect on the making of the album, how it shaped your creative path, and what it means to you all these years later. And within the making of the album, we're going to break down each song. There are
Oh
a
my.
few I have them all written down and I know
Oh
what they
good.
are.
Uh-huh.
um but before we jump into those questions, I got some general opening questions. When you think back to when My Daddy's Dream first came out, what was the first memory that comes to mind?
When it first came out,
Yeah.
I think it was just the elation overall, knowing that it finally happened, that I finally did it. Um, because it came about in a kind of like a roundabout way where um, my mom just happened to have connections to people, or she knew people that knew people, that eventually found a producer that was in a local town in Kentucky there that had his own studio that was working on various different things. And after discussions with them here and there, they were able to find out that well, they seemed like they were up for making an actual album with me if I was interested. And the producer's name was Danny Huff, and he worked a lot with just kind of showing different things here and there about like how making an album would work, like how you brought in different artists to put it together, even brought in different songwriters. Because I will say off the bat that half of the songs of the album were written by me. The other half was written by other people that I was able to find songs with. But yeah, just that initial reaction, like seeing that first CD printed physically in my hands, was a very touching and special moment. Probably more so for my parents than myself, but still, it was a very like heartening moment to see that I had finally did it after so long.
Yeah, that's a really great feeling to have when you've like accomplished something that you've always wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, yeah.
um can you paint a picture of well, I think you already talked about this maybe. Can you paint a picture of where you were in life when this album was taking shape, creatively, emotionally, and personally?
hmm So the first, so when I made this, I was in my sophomore year in college. Went to a local college that was there called Alice Lloyd College for my bachelor's degree. I initially was starting out. It was an interesting time because even in college, I was kind of shifting around on what it was I really wanted to do. Initially, I started out wanting to get a degree in biology because I just really like science that much. But as I started to get into like the more advanced classes, I started thinking to myself, I don't like this as much as I thought I did.
Mm,
So I started shifting around, thinking like, what else could I do? And eventually I landed on business because it was a very like, I guess, malleable degree where you could put it in a lot of different places. And I was like, if I go business, then I can eventually use that to get into the music business and use my ideas to like get into different avenues like that. So I was kind of in that mindset where I was like, once I make music, then I can take it to different people, show them that I did this, and get into like better, programs and things like that. So when making the album, it was a kind of like a transition period for me, just trying to figure out what it was I really wanted to do and how I wanted to go about it. So it was interesting, just kind of like to go from there and to finally start putting pen to paper. Is like, okay, this is how it's going to look at this point.
interesting. I didn't even think about it that way, like majoring in business to get a connection in the music industry. That was something that
Mm-hmm.
I did not think of when I was in college. I started as a theater major. Um,
Right. Okay.
but the theater program at the college was kind of like almost little to none, so I switched over to music after
Right.
taking a music technology class. But I
Yeah.
didn't even think about the business side of it. I was always a creative, like minded, like creative individual who knew
Mm-hmm.
nothing about the logistics of it.
Right, right. Yeah, I just figured that if I had a general knowledge of business overall, like it was business administration specifically,
Mm,
that maybe I could use that to leverage into other types of programs. But in the end, I eventually kind of pushed further into business administration and got my master's degree in that with the University of Kentucky. So it didn't go up the way I initially thought, but most plans usually don't. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
so
exactly. um, do you remember the moment you realized you had something special with this collection of songs?
uh, yeah, because I remember when I was first starting to put things together. Um, I do remember moments where I was just like sitting on my bed in my home in Kentucky for a long time and just trying to put songs together and trying to write it together and playing plucking out different tunes on my guitar, trying to find something that fit. And I guess there was a moment where I just kind of hit me. I was like, yeah, this is really how it starts, isn't it? Just
Yep.
sitting down and trying to find something that really fits with you. And especially when we put the money down to finally like start the process, it's like, okay, we're doing this. We're gonna make this happen. We just gotta see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I have yet to release a full album. I have a few singles of just like me just doing music composition, but my goal is to get an album out at some point, and I
Yeah.
have like plans of like what I want to put
Cool,
on the
cool.
album.
Yeah, I definitely want to make another album myself. Whether it's all country, I don't know, because I've done a lot of like covers online on YouTube and
Hmm.
things like that of different styles and varieties that I really resonate with, and people seem to resonate with too. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in making something new.
Yeah, I've been watching those since like I was like maybe 13, 14 years old, and I'm 25 now.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking at the full track list now, does like the album feel like a snapshot of that chapter in your life, or does it kind of like reveal more to you with time?
I think it definitely was like a product of its time because back then at that time, like especially with songs like Coal Miner's Son, that was a big subject that was going on, especially in Kentucky or Eastern Kentucky, because coal mining was like the primary source of income for many people throughout there. And
Hmm.
when that's all and that's like how your life and your region is built all around that, when you start seeing it like slowly die out, like people
Hmm.
rise up and they don't want to be they don't want to lose something that they've known all their life. um so Coal Miner's Son definitely came about as a result of that, because it you know I'm not saying green energy is a bad thing. It's obviously a great
Oh, I
thing
know.
to help with to help with the environment and things like that. But
Yeah.
when that's all you know, and people shame you for, you know, being that part of life, or even shame like your family for working in the coal industry for so long, I wanted to make something that, you know, people were able to say like, you'll never know what it's like to be a coal miner's son, because that was actually my job. My dad actually had,
Yeah.
working for the mines, as a surface miner specifically. But still, like it was a almost a cathartic song that actually people did come up to me and say, "Hey, listen, I heard that on the radio and just wanted to thank you for putting that out there." Like it really means a lot that to be seen in that way
Hmm.
and be represented that way.
Yeah, that actually was going to be part of one of my questions, but I did have other questions of mine about that
Right,
song.
right, of course.
But before we jump into Coal Miner's song, I'm actually there's one more opening question. The title track, "My Daddy's Dream,"
Yeah.
carries a lot of weight. What led you to make that the album's namesake?
Well, essentially because I think the just the story of it all really resonated with me. I mean, it's something I've carried all my life because it really not only has it been my dad's dream to see me like succeed and actually make something like that, but it also like the story in that song is true in that my dad actually did dream before my mother was pregnant that she was going to have a baby on her birthday.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, so and it that's how it played out. Like originally I was going to be born in November, and they were like, "Okay, well that's not going to play out." And then like a day or so before my mom's birthday, that she was doing her regular checkups, and the doctors come in and said, "Ma'am, you're not going to believe this, but you're in labor right now."
Oh, jeez.
so so they got her into the hospital, and like 12:30 at night on her birthday, I was born, and
Wow.
the prophecy came true.
Oh my gosh, nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have a sister. She was supposed to be born on my birthday, but she was born 2 days, like 8 years, 2 days later. But
Okay.
things happen. Like, yeah, things
Right,
happen.
right.
Not gonna get into details. But anyway,
Gotcha.
it's time to break down each song in the album, and these are in order of track lists of or what was listed on the track. So the first song is called "The Devil You Know."
Hmm.
Why? So why was? Do you know why this song may have been chosen as the opening track, or did you not know that was going to be the opening track?
No, this was one of the songs that I wrote myself.
Uh huh.
The devil, you know, this was just an attempt at us at me like writing, because I loved like the like just kind of like the country rock vibe that a lot of artists had back during that time, and I wanted what something for myself to like kick the album off on a high note and really get people into it.
Hmm.
So this was one I wrote, and I had heard that phrase a lot of the time. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And I wanted to see if I could play something off of that. So I pitched that as the first song, and my producer Danny was like, "Okay, yeah, we can put something together with that, make it a little more hard rock, and bring some, you know, background tracks with it." So I was very proud of like making something like that, and like that being the first one to get people's attention on the album.
Was this song like inspired by like a real life event or internal battle in your life at the time? With details that you are comfortable with sharing.
Right, right. Um, let's see. Um, I don't think I didn't pin it to a specific battle overall.
Hmm.
Just that I've had moments in life where, you know, things may not have gone the way I initially thought, and especially when you're in college, you have moments where, you know, things may be events may happen where they don't go the way you thought, and the friends that you think you've had may not be the friends you've had for a long time.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to have a song where it was um really put out there and just had I'm trying to find the right way to describe this.
Hmm.
um just to say that, hey, you act like I'm this bad person, but maybe the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. and
Mm,
which I never really had a lot of instances like that. Like I said, that I was going to pin to this song, but I feel like that's a general thing that a lot of people can attest to, like saying like um, you don't always know the full story about something,
yeah,
and
exactly.
and it's like, hey, maybe you need to look in a bit better. Like you're saying, yeah, I think that's the main reason I wanted to write a song like that and just write a kind of like a story around that concept, around that saying.
Yeah. Yeah, we hear a lot of phrases like, "Oh, the devil is in the details," or "I'm going to
Yep.
play devil's advocate for
Mm-hmm.
this." Um, that was a nice opening track.
Yeah.
Now to the next track, "Feel Like Myself Again."
Yeah.
What brought that song to life, emotionally and or musically?
Feel Like Myself Again was another one of the ones that I wrote personally.
Hmm.
Um, this was one that I just wanted a more like carefree um like song where it was kind of centered around people that were trying to get over their own like problems, their own vices, things like that.
Hmm.
um like a couple of the songs on here are, maybe a little more religiously content because I was raised Christian myself,
Hmm.
and because there's even lines on there like just kind of like giving your problems to God and things like that, and just trying to just help him with have him help you with your troubles and things like that. So I just tried to write a
Hmm.
song where it was more along that uplifting note and things like that. So I'm trying to remember if this was which song this was, like in terms of like number of songs I wrote. I think this is maybe this, I want to say like the third song I wrote after that, because the first song I wrote is further on down the list here. But
Hmm.
yeah, this is one of the ones where I felt good like having that as more of a middle song overall.
Hmm. It was actually the second one on the track because
Yeah,
I actually
second one on the
own the album.
list,
Yeah, because
right
I
on
actually
the
own
album,
the album.
right. Like I'm just saying, like in terms of like numbers of songs I had wrote for that, I think in the
Oh, gotcha,
process
gotcha,
that was like
gotcha.
the second or third one there.
Gotcha. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I understand. All right. Um, First song, "Be My Angel Tonight."
Mm-hmm.
Was this song written for someone specific at the time? You don't have to
Well,
share names. You don't have to share
right.
names.
Let's see. That this one was one of the songs that I actually got from another person. I worked with a few different writers at the time. My producer Danny knew several writers that were in the area,
Mhm.
and I remember a couple of evenings we would just sit down. He actually had like a binder of songs that he had collected from different people that hadn't been put to track just yet necessarily, and we would just sit there and see if we could find, something that resonated, something that maybe fit along with like the style of the album.
Mhm.
And this was one of them. Be My Angel Tonight. Let's see, 2010. This was, let's see, this was just before I was starting to date somebody, but it wasn't long after this album release that I did start dating him for a little bit. So it may have been connotated to them. I won't name names,
Again, yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not expected. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I wanted to have at least a little bit of a romantic song on there.
I mean,
So that was the one that I went with.
that's like one of the elements of like country music. Like there's romance, there's like heartbreak, there's like what's like life in the countryside, all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, country has that special quality where they're not afraid to like get into more melancholic
Yeah.
subjects and things like that, but also have like those moments where it's more, laid back and just, spending time
Mhm.
with your loved one, or just like sitting on the bank of the river, things like that. um
Yeah.
uh, it's just a very special quality to it that really hooked me when I was young, and I wanted to definitely encapsulate that with this album too.
Cool. Okay. Speaking of coal miner's son, now you actually answered part of the question, which was there a story from your family or a tribute to a broader heritage? But I want to talk about one of the lyrics, some
Uh-huh.
of the opening lyrics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh God, I don't know. I don't remember this from memory. It wasn't too long ago. I met a man after a show.
Uh-huh.
Oh shoot, I forgot. And he was talking about, hey, I can like take you out of this town. And
Yeah.
is that a real event, or was that something you made up?
So the event itself was a made up one,
Okay.
specifically, but I have had moments like that. So it didn't play out like frame by frame like it did in the song,
Okay.
but I have had moments where people have tried to like push me into further and further realms, like
Mm-hmm.
especially after the album came out, because it did have some pretty good success, tri-state wise in like Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia.
Mm.
And obviously online, putting it on to digital platforms, I still get sales of it to this day too. But I've had people try to push me out further and further, from my roots, and especially me, at that age, that didn't resonate with me well, because I
Mm.
figured I need to like get my foothold in the area first before I try to like even think about broadening out further.
Yeah.
So I kind of took that into the creation of like this little story where there's a musician who is from this area, and there'd be like a big shot that's trying to take him away, and not say you need to stop singing about all this like hometown stuff and coal mine
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like forget all of that. And then just that's how I made the chorus into like you'll never know what it's like growing up in a place like this. It was like, you may live in that high rise hotel, but my daddy was raised underground, and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So that's how I wanted to pull that together. So it really hit home with quite a few people when it came out on radio.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's actually interesting to hear. Like people pushing out to broader perspectives, specifically in like to Los Angeles, New York, to sometimes even in London. Although
Mm-hmm.
the biggest like hub for the arts where I'm from in Oregon is Portland, because that's like the
Okay.
art city.
Right, right.
That's not even the capital of Oregon though.
Yeah.
All right, next song, "Fool's Gold."
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a particular moment or relationship that inspired the song?
So Fool's Gold was another one of those songs that I found from another writer,
Hmm.
that really set up a another one of those like deep melancholic moments. Is like a relationship where it just didn't pan out the way you thought, or like you put someone up on a pedestal and they're not everything that you set them up to
Yeah.
be. I felt like that was a really good lesson to have, and just like you're looking at this treasure that you had, but it turns out to just be not what you thought it was. I personally had not had a romantic relationship that turned into that, but I had friendships, where I was like
Mm.
where I was like, this person seems really great. I want to get to know them more, and then something would happen where they turned out to be not all that I thought them to be,
Yeah.
and something would happen. And I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to go and put this song on the album, because uh, being able to relate to instances like that, and just having that they're just like saying that you're not like I'm not the only person that has had something like that happen to them.
Hmm.
Um, so even though it is more like romantically connotated, I luckily had not had that happen to me just
Okay.
yet. I didn't do a lot of dating in high school or college, so I was
Honest-
thankfully spared from that for the time being.
yeah. Honestly, fair. That's fair. It's like
Uh-huh.
"Fool's Gold" is like another way of saying, "Oh, you're seeing someone's true colors."
Yeah. I'm not saying it never happened to me, because I did have a relationship that did pan out sort of like that
Oh.
before that. But I think when I picked the song, I wasn't thinking about that one specifically. But when I think back on it now, I was like, yeah, I did have something like that sort of happen. So I guess it did work out.
Okay. Going to the title track, "My Daddy's Dream." Now, this was
Hmm.
autobiographical biographical, excuse me. Um,
Yeah.
you you mentioned that story. How much of your own father or your own relationship with him is in the song?
I mean, I'd say it's pretty well a good reflection of like what my relationship is with him now. Because the title track, like I said, he having that dream and everything about being born on the birthday, and then seeing the name up in lights, which it's almost in a different way because he's actually told me this before. Is
Hmm.
like I guess the song really did play out, but it's different than what I expected it to be because he would have imagined me being like a country musician, like seeing my name on a billboard or something like that. But nowadays, what I'm mostly known for is my voiceover work
Hmm.
online and having people recognize me that way. So he's like, it played out different, but it still played out just like you said. Um, but but yeah, I mean, we've always had a good relationship with each other, and I think he was really touched to hear that song. I mean, I know he was because when I first played it, when it was officially done in the studio, and to have him here, he definitely got emotional over it.
Oh,
So it was really good to see that, and it was just I mean, it was very representative of what the whole album was in general because he wanted to see me succeed in finally hitting my dream, and that album was his dream as well. So it all really worked out.
yeah, that actually was, you actually answered one of my other questions. Did you ever share it with your dad?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Did you share it with a lot of people in your family or close friends?
My it's not I mean it's not that I wouldn't have shared it, but my mom couldn't stop sharing it.
Oh.
um like she worked in a local bank as a manager for a long time, and she knew just about everyone in the area, and she actually had like copies of the album behind her desk and would even like prop it up on the table whenever people would come in. It was like, hey, are you interested in getting this? um so she was very supportive of that as well. And to this day, I've had people saying, "Is he gonna make any more music soon?" So I'm like, it's been years, so I'm like, I gotta find people to make this happen again.
Yeah, my mom is like the same way. She would tell all like her coworkers about me because I also work in film as well,
Uh-huh.
as a
Mm-hmm.
composer and an actor and a writer.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, she would share that all about me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all right, the next song. So this has kind of an ironic title, "Good Kind of Bad."
Mm-hmm.
Was this written as like a palate cleanser, or does it like have a deeper message?
I think this is more of like just the palette cleanser to like just give the tonal shift for a little bit because we had Fool's Gold and Daddy's Dream, which are both like soft songs or
Hmm.
softer, I should say, just putting you in a more of a calmer spot. But I wanted to have a little bit more of that rock edge come back into it.
Hmm.
So this was another song I picked up from another local writer there. So it really fit into the vibe of what I was going for because good kind of bad. People like. I mean, even to this day, people like bad boys in a certain way.
Hmm.
So even though they have like their own actions, like there's a good kind of bad out there that people like
Yeah.
to lean into. So it definitely was one that I enjoyed including.
Yeah. All right. My like Zoom thing is like it has like it has a stupid limit to timing, so we might have to like put at some point we might have to put another Zoom link in, and I could just put both those videos together.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. Um. The but might as well take the time to use it. So
Mm-hmm.
the next song, another one of my favorites, and I sang a part of it on TikTok. Listen to the rain.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Now
Oh,
this go
sorry.
ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. I was gonna ask, what headspace were you in when you wrote it?
So this is the very first song that I ever wrote
Oh,
for overall. Like I first took this like full disclosure, I first wrote this song as a school project in high school.
really?
Yeah. and I wrote it as more like a poetry type thing, and because I wanted to make like a music or like a song like that, and which the thing itself did well, but the more I looked at it, I'm like, hey, I could actually make something off of this, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted something, I wanted something to be more just to like have like reflecting type of song. Let's just let the world melt away, let's just listen to the rain. So it was like its own romantic song in a way. And I think it was more along the lines of that. I like just being able to like look at everything in a much bigger picture than just like your own small bubble. Like like the thunder is a call to people far and near, lightning shines your way through the dark. I think it was not so much more romance. It was like it was kind of
Yeah.
going back to the Christian roots again, I think, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. um so it was like, so I know your pain, so let's just listen to the rain, like put all your troubles on me, referencing back to God a little bit more too. So I think it put along, it reflected on that more, but also when you look at it from a romantic standpoint as well, like it can work in that sense too. um so yeah, it was one of those songs. First song obviously being really special to me, and I was glad I was able to make it come together for this album too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a really really nice song to like listen to, and also to sing because like it's just so dang pretty. It really is.
Thank you.
um. Okay, the next song, just like nobody's home.
Hmm.
Now, upon listening to it, was this another one of those songs that your songwriters wrote? Yeah, sorry, what?
Yeah. So yeah, this was one of those songs. Yes, it was written by somebody else, but I also really wanted to put this on the album because this really kind of reflected back on some of the country music that I listened to growing up.
Mhm,
Because a lot of artists that I listened to had like these songs with like the long drawn out notes and like more of a melancholic type feel. Like growing up, like Alan Jackson was like one of my
mhm,
favorite artists all time, and he had a lot of inspiration on some of the stuff that I did. And a song like this, like I could just kind of like hear him singing a song like this,
mhm,
and having something that kind of reflected back on my roots and what I used to listen to was a really good touch. And like it also kind of reflects a lot back on, the area itself. Like growing up in East Kentucky, like there's a lot of places there that get like worn down and abandoned over time when people move up and out of the area.
mhm.
So it was like nobody ever lived there, just like nobody's home, no pictures on the wall and things like that. So it it worked really well for me as in terms of a reflect on the past, and also just like honoring, what I learned and what I heard growing up too.
Mhm. Do you kind of like see this song as like one about loss, isolation, or like something else entirely?
I think the song itself, like initially when you hear it, it is one that makes you think of loss and just like, like it's like nobody was ever there. But you can also look at it in a way of like people have, grown up, moved on to their
Mhm.
own lives in different places too. um so I think there you can look at it in a couple different ways. But yeah, it's not saying that either way is the best way to look at it, but
Right.
um yeah, when I first hear it, like I think of the little melancholy, because country music sometimes has a better quality over other genres to be able to make you feel those emotions here and there. Um, and I think that's one thing I've always appreciated about it is that with country music, like I've said this before, like they're not afraid to dive into like some of the sadder topics that you may not hear in other genres specifically, like something like this, like a town or a house that's being grown up and moved out of. And yeah, it really worked well overall for me.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last song, before going on to the legacy and reflection questions, Nobody's Gonna Change Me. Was
Hmm.
this your way of summing up the journey of the album?
Yeah, this was one of the other songs that I wrote as well. I felt like this was a good like pin on everything there, just saying like even after everything I've been through, even all up the way to this point, like going in the future, like nobody's gonna change who I am and what I believe in. And it's like I might even the lyrics say I may not fit in with the crowd, I might not be the one that's allowed, but I'm proud to say nobody's going to change me. And I think a lot of people want to say that in different facets of their life, like there's always pressures from around the world and various different aspects, but to be able to hold on to your beliefs and like your core values is a really big thing to have. So just having a little thing like that at the end, just to say like be always be who you are, don't let people change you over time,
Hmm.
I think was a really nice touch.
Great. So now that we got the rundown of all 10 songs, was there actually before we move on to the legacy and reflection questions, did you have any other songs that you or somebody else wrote that did not make it to the album?
I had a couple songs there that I had wrote that we didn't put in there, just because I didn't think it necessarily fit the vibe overall. um but yeah, I have some in my back pocket that I would like to put on something eventually.
Good, good.
Hmm.
I can't wait to hear those. All
Yeah.
right. Now we got the legacy and reflection questions.
Yes.
How do you think the album shaped you as a musician?
Hmm. Well, I mean, for it being my very first album overall, like I learned a lot in the process of like how an album is made and how it's distributed and how people go about like putting all these little pieces together. It was a very it was a very interesting process overall, and I think my process may be different than what some people would go through,
Hmm.
but in terms of my overall experience of being able to like finally get something on CD and online was very unique, and I got to have my perception of the music industry really expanded on like being able to meet more musicians and other songwriters out there and working hand in hand with a producer and like how certain parts should sound. And it was a very formative experience overall.
Amazing. Are there any songs from the album that you would perform differently now or see in a new light after 15 years?
Good question. Let's see, in terms of ways I would perform it differently, I I feel like I could do a different iteration of like feel like myself again.
Hmm.
I feel like with that song, even though I wrote it as like sort of like an upbeat, almost bubbly kind of song, I feel like I could come up with a better what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like composition for it all.
Yeah,
I I feel like I could. I feel like with the way I've matured over time and my a better understanding of like music and things like that, I feel like that song could be rewritten to have more of an impact overall.
yeah.
And yeah, in terms of like some of the other ones, I feel like not many of the other ones. I feel like they're pretty well set as they are.
Hmm.
The other only one maybe like "Be My Angel Tonight." I feel like that could also have like a different method of going about it. But in terms of like those two, I feel like feel like myself again. That could be even rewritten a little
Hmm.
bit better, because again, first album, first songs ever written. Um, need I would need to. I feel like I could just go better about weaving things together for the message that I wanted to portray.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my two choices there.
Yeah. And especially with like nowadays, with the rise of like what's the best way to put this? Like acknowledging mental health, which
Yeah.
was the center of my final project.
Mhm.
I think I could see like how feel like myself again could be written in a new light.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree.
All right. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice during the making of this album, what would it be?
Mm. uh, don't rush the process.
Hmm.
Like, I think that would be the biggest thing is that I know I was like super excited to get this thing done and get it out the door and start doing all the big things, but there was it took a good while to stop at the studio every day. Well, not every day, but every time and just go through the parts of like going through each song individually, listening to like how each instrument was put together and finding the right people that wanted to come together and help put these things, put instruments to track and provide background vocals and things like that. um it was very intensive, and I would just remind myself like, hey, take your time. You're gonna come up with something that you really enjoy eventually. just just let the process play out.
Amazing. I have a problem with that all the time because I'm just someone who like I want to get myself out there, but I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. So I
Hmm.
usually put it off like until I realize, oh, I don't like this anymore. Let's do
Right,
something
right.
else.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely the kind of guy. Even nowadays, I'm like, when I start something and I know that I'm really close to finishing it, I don't want to give myself a break until it's actually done. So I'm like,
Yeah,
that sometimes that's detrimental to me and
yeah,
my personal time, but like, so I just got to learn to be patient and let things play out even if it takes longer than I initially thought.
yeah, yeah. Well, this question like already kind of got answered in a way, but I'm gonna try to phrase this as differently as possible. Would you ever consider re-recording any of the songs from the album, but in a way where you're like duetting with collaborating with other artists, as in like a
Ooh.
duet?
Ooh, yeah. Um Yeah, I would definitely be open to something like that. Um, like even like one of the ones that just came to me there, like "Listen to the Rain."
Yeah.
I feel like that one could be slowed down even further, and you could, like, I could imagine like a female artist like coming through and
Hmm.
providing kind of like a foil to that one, and just having like a duet going together, like um that would make it more into like the romantic sense, I would think.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I would definitely be open to something like that.
Yeah. That's like one of those songs. Like, yeah, this could work as a solo, but this could also work as a duet and have like
Hmm.
two different harmonies like built on each other.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, that one was one of my favorites. That's why I like sang a snippet of it on TikTok.
Yeah.
um and then the last question I have on here, are you planning on releasing any other albums or songs or like making more original work in the future?
I would definitely love to. I think nowadays it's more along the lines of like just finding the right people that can help you create that sort of thing now. Which even today I do know like plenty of friends that work in music and are very knowledgeable about developing things online and things like that. So it's just a matter of bringing them all together and pitching the idea.
Hmm.
Like it's I think that was another thing that this album really helped me realize, is that there's so many people out there that are doing the same thing that I'm doing, and sometimes it just takes reaching out and saying, "Hey, you want to do this thing with me?" And when they say sure, then you're in business. um like finding bands like even across the world that have been wanting to help with stuff like that. um because I a little side tangent, because I did do a cover song from a show there a while back from Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And
Yeah, I listened to that one.
yeah, that music was done by a band called the Consoles, which
Hmm.
is a like a jazz swing cover band based in Australia, and I had to work with them. It would be late in the night for me, but it'd be like in the early mornings for them,
Hmm.
and trying to put together the instrumentation and just talking about how we wanted to go about it. It was a really fun experience to do that, but it also helped me learn that, hey, sometimes you just got to go out there and ask and find the right people. So yeah, I need to take time to just sit down and get some people together and make this happen again.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna add one more question, just because. Are you planning on releasing like any other like covers?
Yeah. So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I've I've already had some people asking me about joining them on some covers. It's just the matter of taking the time to record them.
Oh yeah,
So
of course.
we've got some lined up. We just gotta get out there and finally do them.
Nice. I remember like there was the Rewrite the Stars one with Morgan Berry, and then
Yes, that was
that one
great.
was a good one. Um, and then I saw you doing like that duet of, what is it? It's the iconic song from Hades. I forgot what it was called.
I know the one you're talking about from the game Hades,
Yeah, the
right?
game Hades. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I forget the title of it as well right off, but the one that Orpheus and Eurydice
Yeah.
sing with each other.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a good song to sing.
That's a
I was originally gonna duet that song with a singer by the name of I think it was Lolita. She does a lot of
Oh.
cover songs as well. But things plans kind of fell through, and I wasn't able to do that the way I wanted to. So
Uh-huh.
I maybe I have to reach out to her again to just try and finally seal the deal. But yeah, eventually I would like to do another like ballad song like that. Especially since yesterday I got to sit in a stream and finally watch all of Epic the Musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it so
So
much.
yeah, so now I am fully locked into that world, and I'm sure I'm going to be finding stuff to do there.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. Well, that actually concludes that actually concludes this interview. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me for this. This was great.
I will. So sorry, I'm like still super giddy.
Oh, oh, I'm really glad I was able to sit down with this. I appreciate you, marking this moment like this. It's really nice of you.
Yeah, it just like it came like happenstance. It's like, wait, when did this album come out? I'm like, oh wow, this came out a long time ago. I should probably like to show my appreciation to like one of my favorite role models. I wanted to do this.
I mean, I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for that.
You are welcome. And thank you guys for watching this interview. I hope to do some more in the future. And if you like this, actually, before we wrap up, where can people find you, Kestin?
Yes, so you can find me online on various social media, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all under the name Kestin the Voice. If you want to see me streaming regularly, I now go on Twitch using a VTuber now by the name of
Mm-hmm.
Bull. And also, if you just want to reach out to me for voiceover opportunities, go to www.kestinhoward.com. And if you want to find some of my music, you can look up on major platforms like Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, the like. You'll find it there.
And if you want, I'm sure like some people are wondering if you want him to like guest star at a convention, if they're open to accepting guests, please let the cons know that
Yep.
you want him there.
That is how you get those special guests out there. Recommend us enough to a con, and they reach out to us saying, hey, we got people that want to see you. Do you want to come? That's how
Yeah.
you do it.
Yep. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.